Getting to create a scenario like this truly is why gaming can be such a wonderful thing. Hello everybody, I'm Superkios of YouTube and Twitch TV. Welcome to the start of the 2024 Formula 1 season with a bit of a difference. We're here for the opening round at the Bahrain Grand Prix, and we're here for the first race on F1 24. Due to the revamped career mode in this year's game, I get to answer a question. How would a world legend do in this newest era of Formula 1 car? I've always believed that Michael Schumacher would have relished this opportunity and been one of the stars in these cars, with the characteristics alone of there being much more downforce and being particularly able to throw the car through corners, something that Michael Schumacher was famous for. Well, due to F1 24, we're going to find the answer today. For this one race appearance, Michael Schumacher is in the Mercedes alongside fellow 7-time world champion Lewis Hamilton. And his and Hamilton's inclusion, along with Alonso on 2 and Verstappen on 3, the reigning world champion, means the championships start at 18. Let's start at the back of the grid then. Daniel Ricciardo, surprisingly in the RB, is at the back alongside Nico Hülkenberg, and then they're followed by Kevin Magnussen and Pierre Gasly. Esteban Ocon is 16th alongside Yuki Tsunoda, as the RBs and the Houseboys in particular had a pretty poor day. At the expense of the Williams pair, Logan Sargeant and Alex Albon getting both Williams out of Q1. Austin Piastri is 12th alongside Lance Stroll, and into the top 10 we go. Row 5 is Zhou Guanyu and Valtteri Bottas. Lando Norris is alongside Lewis Hamilton on row 4. 6th is Perez behind Alonso. And then in the bottom row we have Carlos Sainz and Charles Leclerc. And on the front row, look at that. 9 world championships between them. The reigning world champion Max Verstappen on pole position alongside Michael Schumacher, who truly sprung a surprise. The Mercedes was not really going to be looking that much improved in pre-season testing, but very much like Michael Schumacher used to do in his prime, he's put the car where it doesn't belong. And everyone has been relishing this kind of battle all day and what it would have been like. Thanks to F1 24, we find the answers. Here come the 5 red lights. And it's lights out, and away we go for F1 24. And how is the start? Well, I'll tell you something, to quote Murray Walker, Schumacher leads. Schumacher, an absolutely sensational start by Michael Schumacher. He leads into turn 1 in the Mercedes. We've all gone through turn 1. It looks like there was a couple of free wide moments there, but we've all gone through. Verstappen being almost privileged by Leclerc, but it's Michael Schumacher that leads going into turn 4. And it looked like there was one of the McLarens there battling with Lance Stroll. It's Lance Stroll hanging on the outside of Lando Norris. And as it all calms down, Schumacher leads from Verstappen, Leclerc is 3rd, Alonso is 4th, Lewis Hamilton has got a great start in the Mercedes up to 5th. The big loser, Carlos Sainz, down to 6th from 4th. Valtteri Bottas goes up to 7th, and he was 9th. Perez is 8th, Stroll 9th, and Lando Norris gets into the points at Zhou Guanyu's expense, who is down in 11th, the second kick Sauber. Then there's Piastri, both Williams of Albon and Logan Sargeant, ahead of Esteban Ocon, Kevin Magnussen, Pierre Gasly, Nico Hülkenberg, and both RB Visa cars down at the back. And we all know that pre-season, Zak Brown was particularly vocal about the RB cars being essentially a second car for Red Bull, even though that's not the case really. They are more of an independent outfit since 2010, of course. But Zak Brown was very vocal. Hold on, we've got a battle in the final corner with the lead. It's Max Verstappen and Michael Schumacher. And Schumacher gets tremendous exit out of the final corner and leads the first lap he has led, probably since I believe some lap in 2012, which would all filter out of the pit stops. This lap is actually legit him leading by himself. Now the new rule this year is that DRS is enabled after the first racing lap. But to go back to that story, Zak Brown was particularly vocal about RB cars, and everyone was particularly noting that he may have been worried that both RB cars would be 3rd and 4th essentially behind Red Bull, and that doesn't seem to be the case. They are at the back, so it might be kind of run by Red Bull, but it's certainly not on the same level for the start for this first race. And Michael Schumacher, electric start, and of course he's on the soft tyres. The front row on going on different strategies, with Michael on the soft tyres and Max Verstappen on the medium tyres. Now tyre wear has been very high this weekend. We're actually expecting 2 stops despite it being a 50% race, but the tyres have been wearing very badly here. We can see stops maybe as early as lap 6 or 7. And here's the start from Hamilton. Great start He got helped there by a slow starting Carlos Sainz, the Ferrari, who helped Sergio Perez up. But Lewis Hamilton, ever the great opportunist, took it with both hands and is in 5th place. And the Mercedes currently right now is looking a very decent race car, with Schumacher still leading the way ahead of Verstappen. And it's not going to be, hopefully, we're not going to get a runaway Red Bull procession that we had a lot of times throughout 2023. Max Verstappen is actually having to fight this one, perhaps. And, well, no disrespect to Hamilton, we know that statistically he is the greatest driver in Formula 1, but Max Verstappen never really has faced a challenge quite like this. Michael Schumacher, in fitness, determination and driving style, was the greatest for so long. And now, Max Verstappen really is going to know what a battle feels like. This is something he was never faced before, never on the driver, this level of determination, fitness and pure driving skill. But Max Verstappen is certainly not intimidated, and you've got to give him props for that. Down the inside of turn 3, Michael Schumacher holding it round the outside. It looks like Max got ahead, and Michael's just disappeared from view as we cut to the camera. Not sure where he is. There he is. Oh my word, Schumacher holding it round the outside. Fantastic move by Schumacher, certainly not letting Max Verstappen have his own way today, it looks like, and we will certainly take that. Fantastic holding a position there by Schumacher. He was never going to back out of that. And well, as we said, Max Verstappen is in for a challenge in this one. Schumacher running wide there at the exit of turn 10. He might get looked at for track limits, but I don't think he gained anything, so they might let him off. I think it was 2 wheels off the track rather than 4. I think it has to be all 4 mostly with the tyres when it comes to track limits. Charles Leclerc here has got a grandstand view of a grande battle between Schumacher and Max Verstappen. These two have very similar career stories and career trajectories, to be honest, and probably very similar driving styles, to be fair. So it is certainly a 5-star potential match here, and Schumacher is winning it against the all-conquering Red Bull. That's not that much different from 2023, one would think, but today Michael Schumacher is certainly making a go of it. And we know that Michael Schumacher was one of the stars in his prime, putting cars where they didn't belong. And at this point, he's done it so far this weekend. He's got progressively faster as the weekend's gone on. He was 12th to 14th in practice 1, and throughout the practice sessions, made Q1 rather comfortably. It was got a bit of a scare in Q2, I think it was only P7, but then pulled a mega lap out of the bag for P2 on the grid, and this was the battle on lap 3. Of course, DRS is already enabled due to the new rules this year. It's after the first racing lap that DRS is enabled, but look at this, Michael Schumacher doesn't need that. He just holds it round the outside, no contact there, and that was a stunning bit of racing for that lap 3. That was a stunning move there by Schumacher, holding it in, showing no fear, and Max showing no intimidation at all by the caliber of driver that Michael Schumacher truly is. And well, obviously Lewis Hamilton has beaten a lot of his records over time, but today in the battle of 8, Schumacher is leading the way, beating Hamilton in qualifying and leading this race at this very moment. As we said, Charles Leclerc will must be picking a grande seat for this one, and if it's anything like we've seen so far in these opening 4 laps, we could be in for a race-long battle between two of the most similar drivers in Formula 1, as I said. Very similar career trajectory, being drafted in and then having shock transfers. Obviously, Michael Schumacher had a shock transfer to Benetton in race 2 of his career. It took Max years to get to Red Bull, of course, and we all know why. With the surprise dropping of, I believe it was Daniel Kvyat in 2016, after a couple of things involving Sebastian Vettel, I believe, that year. And Max was drafted in for the Spanish Grand Prix and won his first ever race in that team. Michael Schumacher, it took him a further year to win his first race in 1992, of course, the Belgian Grand Prix, where he made his debut. And the rest truly is history. Max has got some way to go to catch the wins record of his and the poles and championships record, but given last season, he's pretty much almost on like halfway to it already. I think he's like the 3rd winningest driver in Formula 1 right now, behind Michael Schumacher and, of course, Lewis Hamilton, sitting on 103 wins for the moment. Well, the RB cars at the back, the RB Visa Cash App cars, it's a really ridiculous name, to be fair. I probably might just refer to them as Toro Rosso this year, because it is a bit of a weird, ridiculous name that the RB cars have got. Michael Schumacher locking up there in the penultimate corner, but he loved to do that. He loved to lock up the car and use the slide to turn it. Very much a vintage Michael Schumacher then. Max Verstappen, has he got the pace in the Red Bull to be able to pass him down the straight? We know that Red Bull is very good in a straight line, but Mercedes have been very good in a straight line, particularly around this track, so it might break even between these two. Max, of course, has DRS and also has ERS battery to help him out. Michael Schumacher never really got to utilise the ERS battery in his career, because back in his day were V8 engines in his final race in 2012, and obviously in his prime, which would be like 1990s to early 2000s, there were Ferrari V12s and V10s back then. Down the inside of turn 3 goes Verstappen, but Schumacher once again using superb corner exit to get the lead back. Verstappen is not going to have it all his own way this weekend in this race, and we are all for it. Honorable mention to Valtteri Bottas in the Kick Sauber cars, who are particularly good at the moment, both getting into Q3, and Bottas holding on to 7th in the points. Zhou Guanyu is outside the points in 11th place behind Lando Norris and McLaren. McLaren looking a bit below par so far, with Piastri out of the points in P12, I believe he is, or P13, and this was a replay of the scrap once again between Schumacher and Max Verstappen. They are on different strategies. It'll be really a question of who pits first. I have to say it's Michael Schumacher because he's the man on the soft tyres. But look at this racing. It's tremendous racing and very clean as well. Some people say that Max Verstappen isn't most the easiest person to race and will force you off the track and at the expense of contact. But so far, these two, and some way Schumacher would do that as well. But so far, they've both gone through unscathed at the end of lap 6. Max has taken the lead. Schumacher making a bit of a mistake in the final corner, I think. Now we're going to see just how good the Mercedes is in a straight line. And very much like it has been all weekend, that's how good Mercedes is in a straight line. It's practically even with the Red Bull. And Michael Schumacher around the outside of turn 1. Now turn to the inside line for turn 2. And, well, Max Verstappen is going to be shocked. He's actually in for a barrel this evening. We're all for it, as I've said before. So Schumacher back in the lead ahead of Verstappen. Charles Leclerc has got a grande seat behind, followed by Alonso. Hamilton is still in 5th place. Mercedes have a very decent race car here today, with Hamilton in 5th there. Sainz is down to 6th, ahead of Bottas. Perez is down in 8th. So Red Bull certainly don't have the outright dominant car they've had in previous years, particularly last year. Stroll's 9th, ahead of Lando Norris and McLaren. Then, outside the points, just is Zhou Guanyu. Piastri is 12th, followed by the two Williams boys of Albon and Sargent. They're very holding their own against Ocon, Magnussen, Gasly, Hulkenberg, and the two RB cars at the back. And, well, they might have RB in their name. There might be a Red Bull B team, essentially. But right now, they've not got Red Bull's pace or car to challenge near the front at the moment. So I'm not really sure if Zach Brown is really worried about. He probably said it in the interest of fairness, but let's be fair, it's not like the Red Bull and the RB is the same car. Essentially, they look it, but it's definitely not, and it's showing right now. Max Verstappen and Schumacher again into the final corner. We're going to go to a drag race as we begin lap 8. These two have been at it for 2 or 3 laps now. Certainly no quarter given by either of them. And now it looks like Charles Leclerc may join the party. He's going to go down the inside. We're going to be 3 wide into turn 1 here, folks. Who is going to come out of the lead? There is going to be contact between Leclerc and Verstappen. Schumacher is in the safe zone, out away from it, and he uses that zone to take back the lead. We were 3 wide in turn 1, folks. What a opening 8 laps to this race. We've got a battle for the lead. Oh my word, that was 3 wide, but unfortunately for Charles Leclerc, I think he came off worse. I think the damage was relatively harmless. Schumacher once again slightly struggling with the handling of his car. But very much like the great Murray Walker once said, Michael Schumacher's talent is making up for the deficiencies of the car, and that's certainly the case today, because on paper, Mercedes is not as strong as a Red Bull and Ferrari, but it's Michael Schumacher who's leading this race. Look at this. And even with Max and Charles both having DRS, Michael Schumacher still able to hang with them. Maybe the ERS battery is actually really that good in that Mercedes. They've had the best engine in recent years, or power unit, but in this year's game index, or performance index, it's actually Ferrari that has the fastest engine, along with the Kick Sauber cars and the Haas cars. Of course, Haas suffer in other areas, and that's why they're down towards the back at this very moment. And look at Michael Schumacher probably having to soak up his ERS battery to stay even with the two cars alongside him. And Leclerc and Verstappen did have contact there, and Schumacher was in the safe zone around the outside to avoid it all and took back the lead as a result. I think we are still, and we're just coming past the pitch now. Verstappen is coming in, as is Leclerc, and as is a couple of others. So is this an undercut or is it for damage, possibly on the Red Bull? It looks like it's just for tyres. And it certainly is. What tyres is he putting on there? I can't quite tell what Max is having to do. Of course, in a dry race, you have to run two types of dry weather compounds. And Max is on the medium, so he will have to stop again. He's actually gone for the undercut on Michael Schumacher then. Obviously not. It's very even between those two in the race. So Red Bull thinking maybe that he can get ahead of Schumacher with an undercut. Schumacher is now running an extra lap on the softs. Hamilton pitted first of the two Mercedes. Well, like I said at the top of the show, I always believe Michael Schumacher would have rose to challenge in these cars, and he would have been almost star-studded in them, given the characteristics. And right now, this weekend, he's showing exactly why. He's leading this race by 2 seconds at the Sainz, but of course he has to pit. And we're hearing the Mercedes crew are out in the pit lane to receive Michael Schumacher at the end of his lap. Of course, he's on the soft tyres. But he's actually been able to make the tyres last one more lap than most medium runners, which really does prove how high the tyre weight is today and throughout this weekend. I'm assuming Verstappen will probably get right out in front of Michael when these stops pan out, because Michael will probably be on his last legs with those tyres. And you may be able to throw the car through the corners, but it doesn't help with tyre wear so much, and that was one thing that always made Michael great. Especially from 2000 to 2004, where the tyres were built to last very much longer distances on the Bridgestones than these Pirellis are. So it was pretty much to Schumacher's detriment when F1 moved to Pirelli from 2011. And let's see if Verstappen does beat him out of the pits. He will pretty comfortably, I would have thought. Schumacher might end up in this traffic here that's going to pass him. Where is Michael coming out of the pits? There he is, and he's going to come out within his teammate, most likely to be. And oh, was there a touch there from the Mercedes duo? 14 World Championships between them. There might have been contact there as well. Well, that certainly would have spiced things up. The Mercedes used to fight here before, back in 2014, between Hamilton and Rosberg. Right now, Schumacher's had the beating of Hamilton so far this weekend, but there might have been contact there. We'll have to see if there's a replay coming up soon. Michael Schumacher all over Charles Leclerc. Seems to be really struggling on these soft tyres. And, well, that would be an interesting pass. And, oh, he's going round. He's looking round the outside of Charles Leclerc in turn 10. Surely not. Michael Schumacher is going to try. Is he going to pull it off? Yes, he is. Michael Schumacher is going to get DRS, which will give him some extra speed. And very much like Alonso last season on Lewis Hamilton down the inside, Michael Schumacher makes a pass in turn 10 too. And around the outside, more incidentally as well. Stunning pass by Michael. He locked up, coming out of the pits, Michael Schumacher. And Hamilton really just had no space. It's relatively harmless, I think. I think that's tyre face on tyre face. I don't think that'll ruin either one of them's race. Schumacher looking a bit slow, as he probably had to heat up the warm up the tyres there. And well, what a stunning move by Michael Schumacher this is. And it's probably amongst one of his best, to be honest. Round the outside of turn 10, almost touching tyres with Leclerc, literally inches away from each other. Schumacher did go off the track momentarily, but I don't think he gained an advantage by being out there. And he takes P6, which will essentially become P2 when these guys make their stop. Daniel Ricciardo is actually going on. Yuki Tsunoda is the man in for first at RB, or Toro Rosso. It's a really slimming name. But incidentally, they are leading a race right now because Daniel Ricciardo is P1. But of course, he has to make a stop because both RBs started on the soft tyres. RB Visa Cash Out. It's such a weird name. Anyway, I digress. Let's get back to the racing. And looks like Schumacher's passed Alonso as well. So Schumacher's on it as he's passed Alonso for P3, which will essentially become P2 then. And, well, he's on it. I don't think we even saw it. Or we missed it. Hopefully we're going to replay it at some point. Lewis Hamilton has definitely got some pace in that car as well. Mercedes have got a very good car this weekend, as we said earlier. And look at that. Look at that. Straight line speed. Oh, my word. Michael Schumacher literally flying down the straight, almost making contact with Alonso there before he even made the before they even entered the corner. The pace difference between the Mercedes and Aston Martin was very evident there. What a pass from Schumacher from so far out. This was Hamilton around the outside of Charles Leclerc, who doesn't seem to be getting the best out of those soft tyres at the moment. Down in I think P6 now. Charles Leclerc is really struggling in this phase of the race, and there was Lewis Hamilton making a pass ahead, but I think Charles fought back and went around the outside of entering into turn 4, and they were side by side, very much like Verstappen and Schumacher were at the beginning of the race, and Charles hung it in and stayed in his position, so he took the position really because he was behind Hamilton to start with. Daniel Ricciardo leads another lap then. So Ricciardo is going longer, and I think that's only going to give Max Verstappen more of an advantage. I mean, not that he needs one. He's 2 seconds behind Ricciardo at the moment, but that'll probably go down relatively quickly. And all things considered, I think Ricciardo will be told not fight Verstappen, but not to fight him too hard. Number one, Verstappen is not really Ricciardo's race, and the difference between the Red Bull and the RB Toro Rosso Visa Cash Up car, whatever you want to call it, is pretty much a gulf this weekend, because both RB cars have been at the back while Max Verstappen took pole position. But he's not having it all his own way this weekend, and neither are Red Bull, to be honest, because Sergio Perez is not lighting up timing squeeze in P6 either. So we've certainly got some hats to throw into the ring. Schumacher's obviously having a decent race here. Hamilton's having a very decent race as well. Alonso is up in P4. So if this continues like this for the rest of the season, we could actually have a battle on our hands for the 2024 championship. We would certainly love that. We would certainly love it if McLaren were back in the fight today, but today they seem a bit off colour, with Norris in P8 and Piastri down in P14. That is not where Zach Brown or Andrea Stella probably wanted their cars, all things considered in last season, and the drastic improvements that McLaren made as Max Verstappen pulls a relatively easy move there on Daniel Ricciardo. It is a very nice looking car, the RB, even if it does have a rather ridiculous name, but no one can really figure out what to actually call it. As I said, I might actually stick with Toro Rosso because that's what it actually reminds me of in its colour scheme. Meanwhile, we've got Sergio Perez here making a move on Charles Leclerc, and his car is not getting the best out of those soft tyres. In fact, they might actually be rather used soft tyres, I think. Like we said, the tyre wear is very high here, so we could be already expecting 2 stops in a 50% race. That shows just how hard the tyre wear is around here. It's pretty high, as Ricciardo falls to the back, and the RBs have to do it from the back again. Max Albon, meanwhile, very respectable P11 for Williams, and Williams really looked good this weekend. But unfortunately for Logan Sargent, he's fallen back a little bit, down in P18 behind the Haas's and Esteban Ocon. Many people thinking the Alpine was probably going to be the backmarker team for the start of this season at least, but it seems to be the RBs and the Haas that seems to be the ones struggling out of the box in this first race. The surprising outfit is the Kick Sauber car of Bottas up in P8, and certainly the Mercedes right now. It certainly seems to be hanging with the top runners in this one, particularly Michael Schumacher, who is gaining a little bit on Max Verstappen lap after lap. I would say that 3 tenths Schumacher is gaining every lap, so he's actually catching Max Verstappen. Man, we hope this is real life. This is obviously a video game. This is on the F1 24 game. It was released earlier in the year than previous ones, much earlier in the season as well. So we know how real life is going. We've got a battle between Red Bull and McLaren in real life. Today, it's Michael Schumacher that's taking the battle to Max Verstappen, as McLaren seem to be a bit trailing a bit behind in today's race. We've got Charles Leclerc, Lewis Hamilton battling in turn 1. And Hamilton makes use of his superior corner exit that the Mercedes has and takes back 5th place, but not without Charles Leclerc having a say in the matter. Down the inside of turn 4 with DRS, but Leclerc cannot hang with Hamilton. The Mercedes is very good at exiting corners and very good down the straights too. It's quite a nippy car, aerodynamic wise, but it has been the chassis that has really let Mercedes down over the last couple of years or so. Definitely since 2022 anyway. They really didn't ace the rules right. But today they seem to be starting to catch up to those around them and battling for the lead in the case of Michael Schumacher, who is about a second half away from Verstappen at the moment. Can Michael get into DRS? We've got one more stop to make for everybody. Some of them because of the tyre rule. Of course, you must run two types of dry weather tyres in a dry race. So drivers like Max Verstappen will have to stop again regardless, because he hasn't run a certain compound of tyre yet. Michael Schumacher has. The medium tyres do not really last long round here, as Verstappen proved with his first stop. Well, Michael Schumacher is certainly making them work as he is continually closing in on Max Verstappen, as Ricciardo has passed his teammate in the Toro Rosso car. Zhou Guanyu has fallen back to 14th, so something's gone wrong there for Zhou Guanyu, because then there's Schumacher locking up again. Very much vintage Schumacher, pushing hard. Lando Norris is now passing Charles Leclerc, and I think there might be a problem with that Ferrari that's brewing, because McLaren have vastly improved over the last year or so, but you expect Ferrari not to comfortably lead them, but to certainly put up a fight in this race. Carlos Sainz is down to P9, so at Ferrari, got a problem with the power unit, or is it a problem with the car? They've gone the wrong way on something for 2024. And of course, we all know the big shock pre-season news of Lewis Hamilton's impending arrival at Ferrari for 2025. That is a prospect and sight I think a lot of people cannot wait to see. Lewis Hamilton in red is certainly going to be odd for a while. And so's this. Michael Schumacher absolutely on it in this race. Chasing win number 92. Wasn't able to get pole 69 in F1 24. You do carry the accolades of the driver you pick. So Michael Schumacher has those 68 pole positions, those 91 wins, 7 championships of course. He's chasing win number 92 today, and he's certainly in for it this weekend. He has DRS on Max Verstappen. The Red Bull is not looking the all-out powerhouse it has been over the course of 2023. The others appear to have caught up, and look at this gaggle of cars. We've got Valtteri Bottas leading the way as he's passed Charles Leclerc, and that Ferrari is struggling. It's from Bottas, I believe, down to Logan Sargeant. Is literally a couple of seconds in it. You can see the Haas boys in the back there of Hulkenberg and Magnussen, and there is Sargeant. It's from Bottas to Sargeant. You can literally see them in almost one shot. And then we got the RB cars, Ricciardo and Tsunoda, behind them at the back. I think they've differed the strategies on those cars, so I think they both might have to stop again. I think one of them is on the softs. It might be Ricciardo. We'll hopefully get a shot of them on board at some point so we can actually tell you for real what it is. Well, Michael Schumacher now has DRS opportunities on Verstappen within a second of the DRS detection points on the track. There are 3 of them here. Down the start-finish straight, down out of turn 2, going to turn 3. And of course, after the exit of the very tight turn 10. Which we have seen already a stunning move from Michael Schumacher in this race. As Fernando Alonso pits from P4. Hamilton also comes in. And these will be to switch those tyres. We know tyre wear is high here Of course, when Sebastian Vettel scored his win in, I believe, 2017, Vettel's tyres were, in his words, done by the end of that race. But he held off magnificently to win. And of course, he grew up a fan of Michael Schumacher. So I wonder what he's feeling right now, as Michael is more than in the race for the win here today. Max Verstappen, for once, is not having it all his own way. Hamilton's come out of the pits. He has come out in P17. Don't be alarmed. With Hamilton and Leclerc, they've just made pit stops in this stint. So they'll be going probably to the end on the hard tyres now, I suspect. And when will these two pit? Well, Verstappen pitted first in the first stint. Schumacher running wide down the corner. He's not got the handling all the way down, but he's certainly got it handling well enough to win the fight for the win for this race. And both the leaders are coming in together. Max Verstappen and Michael Schumacher then pitting together on the track. It's a battle of the pit crews. To be rather academic considering Red Bull, they will almost comfortably win it, you'd feel, and they do. Pretty quick pit work from the Red Bull pit crew there. Kind of got semi-rivalry going on with McLaren in the pits, because McLaren are pretty good at their stops too. Well choreographed pit crews for McLaren and Red Bull over the last season or so. And Schumacher and Verstappen are going to come out in this heap of traffic, with Verstappen battling against Zhou Guanyu for P4. Schumacher has got a bit more of a clearer space as he's beaten Sargent, which was pretty much vital, because the Williams, where it has been very fast this weekend, is probably not that very fast in comparison to the Mercedes. So it's a good thing that Michael has cleared him, and he will have to clear Nico Hulkenberg and Zhou Guanyu particularly quickly as well. For Verstappen dispose of the Kick-Sauber car in P4 there. Got some more lockups going into turn 5. There's Charles Leclerc down in P14 and not really setting the timings alike. Oh, and Michael Schumacher side by side with Nico Hulkenberg in the Haas car. And it should be rather academic, but it's not particularly. But Schumacher does have better corner entry and exit and takes P6. And a nice quick disposing there of a slower car for Michael Schumacher. He was always mighty getting through the back markers and cars that were slower than him in a timely fashion. And once again, this appears to be another passing move at turn 10. Very reminiscent of Alonso and Hamilton last season. He took the curb with him. And I think that compromised Michael's exit a little bit. But in the end, he won the battle. Here's Max Verstappen. A little further, as we were watching the first replay, Max Verstappen has passed Zhou Guanyu in the Kick-Sauber car. And I think Michael Schumacher's not that far behind. He actually wasn't. And he was battling with Verstappen going into turn 1. Essentially, I'm not sure if we've lost a lap there, but it says lap 19, so I'm assuming this is the same lap. Michael Schumacher taking back the lead. So it's completely unbeknownst to us, side by side into turn 3. Once again, these two are not letting each other get away. And we're all for it. Schumacher did take the lead. Well, I don't know where Michael Schumacher came from, but he certainly came from a long way out than we thought. So I think we've still got cars to make some stops. I think Ricciardo and Tsunoda are one of them, as he battles with Logan Sargent for P4, Ricciardo that is. Excuse me. As Sargent went into the pits. And Michael Schumacher and Max Verstappen literally are glued to each other on this track. And they're having lap by lap battles here. We've got 9 to go in this first race on F1 24, and Michael Schumacher is proving my initial thoughts about him in these cars pretty fruitful right now. He's winning this race. And we saw an Aston Martin there battling with someone. We've got another one battling with an RB car. That's Alonso on Tsunoda. And that's academic as well. So Tsunoda's on the hard tyres, and Daniel Ricciardo is on the softs. So we did split the strategies at Team RB Cash App Visa. It's a really odd name, isn't it? It's a really odd name for sure. But it's not really been proven to be a nippy car. They've been towards the back so far this weekend. So Zak Brown, as we said earlier, has really nothing to worry about. Charles Leclerc is continuing to sink right now because he's now down in P10 and Sainz is P12. So it's not been a great opening race for Ferrari in this 2024 season. And the same with McLaren. No points for McLaren at all as of yet. Although Norris is battling Leclerc for P10 at the moment. Piastri is stuck behind Carlos Sainz. I think we've got a bit of a DRS train forming around here. We've also got one at the back, led by I think that's Alex Albon. Was it Ocon? Is it one? I think it's one of the Alpines. We've got the Alpines, Haases and Logan, the Haases and Logan Sargent. Alonso makes simple work of Daniel Ricciardo and is up to third in the Aston Martin. And here comes Sergio Perez. We haven't seen him all day. And currently now he is P6 and will make light work of the Toro Rosso cars. Daniel Ricciardo's not giving it up against Fernando Alonso, is he? In that car. It's a really cool helmet for Daniel Ricciardo. One of the best helmets on the grid. Very much reminiscent of, I think it might be Scott Speed's actually. I think Scott Speed has a similar one looking like that. Well, Sergio Perez, as we said, we hadn't really heard from him all day. And now he's in the running possibly for P3. But meanwhile at the front, these two are giving us a show. And I think you would have expected nothing less from two drivers that are remarkably similar, both in career path and driving style, essentially. Really loves to throw the car around with no regard for any possible damage. And Perez was passing, I'm guessing it's Tsunoda, because it's Ricciardo who's in the pits on lap 22. It's going to be another set of soft tyres. Both Red Bull Toro Rosso cars started on the hards, so they've fulfilled the tyre requirement of 2 dry compound tyres in a dry race. And we have a Haas of Kevin Magnussen, or is it Hulkenberg? Which one is it? I can't really tell from here. I think it's Hulkenberg passing Ocon. So Alpine don't really appear to have a lot of decent race pace in that car. Ocon is last but 1 ahead of Sargent, and Gasly isn't faring much better in P16. These two still giving us a battle of ferocious proportions at the front here. Well, Max certainly wasn't expecting this going into this race. Actually battling with someone, let alone a Mercedes for a change. Looking for about 2021, isn't it? Except that Michael Schumacher is the one driving that car, and as we said, Max has never really faced a challenge quite like Michael Schumacher before. He was one of a kind in his prime, Michael Schumacher. And this is unlike Max Verstappen has ever faced before, but you've got to give him props. He definitely hasn't been intimidated in this race. Tsunoda comes in for Toro Rosso, and that'll promote Hamilton up to 5th. As Mercedes had a pretty decent weekend. Valtteri Bottas up to 6th in the the Kick Sauber car, ahead of Lance Stroll. Sauber certainly having a good first race of the season. Now we've got Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz battling McLaren's, just a lot further down than they would like. Norris is actually on for a point now in P10 because I think are they already there? I think so. It's Charles Leclerc who's been struggling so far in this latter stages of the race. As Max and Michael Schumacher continue to lead, Michael Schumacher and Max Verstappen continue to lead this race, rather comfortably ahead of Alonso, to be fair, who I believe is actually being caught by Sergio Perez. So Red Bull have decided that now is the time to wake up because there's a race on. And, well, they're used to processions like this, just not battling other cars, really. But all of a sudden now, they've woken up. Well, it might not be the all-dominant car it once was at Mercedes, but Michael Schumacher is certainly making the best of his equipment. Something he was legendary for in his prime years, and even in 2010 through 12 for that matter. 2012 will always go down as Michael Schumacher's unluckiest season, especially the beginning of it. You have a battle of Ferrari civil war going on between Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz for 8th, as Stroll has raced away from them, surprisingly. And now Carlos Sainz is battling with his old pal Lando Norris, who is going 4 wide into turn 1. That's going to be a tight squeeze. There is going to be contact, but oh my goodness, look at this racing. It's sensational stuff. Carlos Sainz come out on top in that battle for P8. With Zhou Guan Yu passing Alex Albon. It seems that the Williams has sadly fallen off a cliff for Albon. That's rather unfortunate. Logan Sargent looks to be getting passed by Esteban Ocon. Well, it'd be great for Ocon. It would only be P19 because the Alpine certainly doesn't look up to it so far this year, or in this race anyway. There's a long way to go in 2024. I think it's a 24 race calendar this year. Plenty of sprint races in between. So there's almost of 30 to 35 races in total this year. In fact, I could probably get the exact mark. It would be, I think we've got 8 sprints, I think. So it would be about 32 or 33 races in total. My maths is not that great. It's never my strongest subject, but what I do know is that Sergio Perez is going down the inside of Fernando Alonso to turn 1. And you'd think he'd hold it, but Alonso says no. I'm fighting you to the end. Unfortunately for Fernando, that was the end of his challenge, although he is going to go down the inside of Perez into turn 3. And we're cutting away to battles we don't really need to see. We need to see what Alonso is doing against Perez. It looks like Perez has come out on top. According to the time board, Charles Leclerc is now out of the points. There is a fundamental problem with that Ferrari because they're not looking at it in this race. Carlos Sainz is getting a bright spot for Ferrari, but right now McLaren are now on for double points as Michael Schumacher and Max Verstappen literally bang wheels on that occasion. And now they're side by side, and Schumacher is back through. These two cannot be separated right now. Man, would we love this in real life if this was a possible battle. Unfortunately, it's not for a variety of reasons. I think even without Schumacher's victory, he would be in his mid-50s at this point. Although Fangio did race until he was in his 50s, I believe. So it can be done. I mean, Alonso is definitely defying expectations at the moment. Multi-year deal with Aston Martin, so he's certainly not done yet. And Michael Schumacher proving that he wouldn't have been done yet either. 55 would be a bit of a stretch, sadly. But that's what these video games are for, and this one is one of the best ones because of it. Aside from 2020, where it was all Schumacher centric in that game, with the Schumacher Deluxe Edition that I very happily bought. And I always wanted the case as a collector's item, but I've never really been able to find it. Sadly, which is something I just get, even if I have to have the disc for it, I might just pick that up. But in any case, yeah, first time since 2020 that you've been able to play as Michael Schumacher in the game, but today he's really proven his legendary status, going toe-to-toe with the reigning world champion Max Verstappen, and so far, with 4 laps to go, he's winning it. It's going to be quite an emotional time if he crosses the line in that position for me. I'm a Schumacher fan, I'm ashamed, I'm pretty proud to say that, to be fair. You know, this is a job where impartiality is preferred, but but I will always have some bias towards any Schumacher, not just Michael. And right now, he's winning the race. But Max Verstappen is not letting him get away. These two are in a class of their own at the front. 8 seconds clear of Alonso, I believe, or Perez now. He's in third. And Charles Leclerc is fundamentally sinking because he is struggling to pass. Well, he has passed Alex Albon in the Williams for the moment. Tsunoda's actually done well to get it to P14. Ricciardo's in P17 in the other Toro Rosso car. Schumacher still leads. Max Verstappen is still on his tail with 3 laps to go. Rest of the race order: Perez third, followed by Alonso in fourth. Hamilton in a very respectable 5th position, to be fair. Valtteri Bottas in the Kick Sauber in 6th. Great start for them. Lance Stroll 7th. Sainz is in 8th. So Ferraris are not all doom and gloom down there with Leclerc in 12th. Sainz is going to get points by the looks of it. Both McLarens are going to score with Norris and Piastri. Zhou Guan Yu is too far behind, sadly, to make a challenge in the other Kick Sauber. Leclerc is 12th and sinking. Tsunoda's passed Albon now for P13. So Tsunoda's come on really good in this last stretch of the race. 14th Albon, of course. 15th Magnussen ahead of Gasly, as Alpine have been relatively nowhere. And here is Yuki Tsunoda passing Charles Leclerc. Didn't think we'd say that in race 1, that's for sure. Magnussen 15th, followed by Gasly. Ricciardo 17th, we're going to have almost 3 wide here. Hulkenberg 18th, ahead of Logan Sargent, who is ahead of Esteban Ocon. We are going to go 3 wide in turn 1, and Leclerc is going to lose both positions to Albon and Tsunoda. There is a problem in that Ferrari. There is no reason that Charles Leclerc should be going this slowly. And here is a replay that Charles Leclerc will not want to see. We've been seeing shades of this before with Michael Schumacher, Mika Hakkinen and Ricardo Zonta in Spa 2000, and also in 2001 when Coulthard used Tanzo Marquez Bernardi to take the lead in that Brazilian Grand Prix. Charles Leclerc and the Williams of Alex Albon made contact there. So Michael Schumacher crosses the line to start his final lap, and he's actually been pulling out a bit of a gap to Verstappen now. He's actually pegged him to 2 seconds. And, well, Schumacher has definitely been the star of the show today. And, well, we asked the question at the start of the show how an F1 legend would thrive in these new cars. And I think it's fair to say that Michael Schumacher has really proven my theories to be correct. But, of course, at the end of the day, folks, sadly, this is a video game. We may never see this kind of thing in real life. It would have been a sight to witness, though, if this race had been anything to go by. Like we said, 2 drivers with very similar career trajectories and driving styles and paths in their accolades, although Max has still got some way to get to Michael's championships and wins, but based on real life, he may get there a lot sooner than Michael even reached it. But of course, in real life 2024, it looks to be a lot closer. But in the game today, Michael Schumacher has not really led from the front, but it has been a vintage Schumacher race, fighting to the very end, as he always used to do. Keep fighting is not just a phrase, it's a way of life for Michael Schumacher and his family. Round the final corner at the Bahrain Grand Prix 2024, Michael Schumacher grabs win number 92 in a stunning performance and a stunning race, very much earning Driver of the Day today. And a very honourable mention, of course, to Max Verstappen, who really pushed him all the way home. But Michael Schumacher proves why he is one of the greats. A fantastic win and a fantastic battle with Verstappen to boot. That's the kind of challenge Michael Schumacher relished in any situation he was in throughout his illustrious career. He takes the win. Max Verstappen takes the fastest lap bonus point. Sergio Perez finishes third ahead of Alonso. Lewis Hamilton, a very well driven car drive there to fifth. Kick Sauber get their first points of the year with Valtteri Bottas in sixth, followed by Lance Stroll, Carlos Sainz, Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri get double points from McLaren, but it's certainly not what they were expecting at the start of the season. And for Charles Leclerc, it's even worse, down in P14 for Ferrari. Fred Vasseur will have to find out what the problem was. It'll be 6 points between Schumacher and Verstappen in the drivers' standings. Thanks to Lewis Hamilton's great drive, Mercedes actually lead the constructors, and I believe that's the first time Red Bull have not led the standings since 2022, I think around Austrian Grand Prix time, I believe. So Red Bull have been knocked off their perch slightly. Of course, it is a video game. Michael Schumacher takes the win in the first race of F1 24, and it's certainly a fun race to witness. We'll be back to our regularly scheduled programming when Formula 1 returns, with F1 2022 continuing the Aiden Jackson story, and with F1 23 and the Color Sport Prologue. That's all when Formula 1 and 2 returns.